for nachos. I strolled without a care, cause I'm going down the road to a brand new place, and I'll get there with a smile on my face. Yeah, so lift me up, I'm moving on, singing and dancing while I play my song. Yeah, I'm having a good time, keeping it going. Come on, clap your hands and won't you sing along? And now let's take it up high, give our dreams their wings to fly. Gotta keep the fire, keep the fire burning, keep the hope alive. You gotta keep it turning.
In each culture, there tend to be certain ages which are critical turning points. And in the 21st century, in many Western cultures, including the United States, a very important turning point is the late 20s, so around the age of 27. At this stage, there's a big transition so that young adults feel themselves to be becoming really responsible for their own lives. That turns out to be a critical period for young people in our culture today.
Hi, I'm Ida. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And I am a single mom of an awesome 4-year-old. And I have a rather unconventional life and lifestyle for, I think, the typical 27-year-old, or what's expected of the typical 27-year-old.
My name is Cristeli, and I am 27. I turned 27 September of this year.
My name is Ryan. I am a 27-year-old musician currently living in New Jersey. This is my kind of studio that I have here. This is where I do a lot of work, a lot of emailing, and a lot of writing and practicing and stuff like that.
My name is Cora. I am from Maryland, and I am 27 years old.
My name is Marvin. I'm 27 years old. I'm originally from Jamaica. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Christina Klessig. I'm 27 years old, and I live in New York.
My name is Tiffany. I am 27 years old. I graduated from Coppin State University in 2009 with a bachelor's in psychology.
The University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas.
So after high school, I actually went to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I was only there for about a semester before I became pregnant with my daughter, who is now 8.
As scary as everything has been, you know, all this growing and everything that's all of a sudden expected of us, you know, because we're adults now. We can't just say, oh, well, I'm only, 21.
I don't know, I'm constantly pinching myself because I'm still not used to being 27. I feel like that's such like a real age.
You're an adult, but you still have these tendencies to just want to wait out your years and just enjoy life a little bit more with nobody to be responsible for, just yourself.
The pressure seems to be heavier. When I was younger, I really took my career for granted, and I was just doing projects I wanted to do, and I lived my life. My formative years I spent, exploring New York and learning how to take care of myself. But 27, I feel I have more pressure to make it.
I don't know what could people say? She's 27 and she shares a home with her parents. I mean, they pay bills, I pay bills.
Like Kurt Cobain and Jimi Hendrix and everything have died, and so it kind of like has this stigma behind it.
society has its own special way of socializing young people, young adults, to prepare for their careers, for their marriages, and for family life. And of course, the ways in which we think about and practice our careers and become members of families and marry all depends on which society we live in. Most of us, for most of the time, follow the practices of our cultures and do what our culture tells us is the correct thing to do.
It's kind of tough when people who are really just, I have some really good friends who are in, like, you know, the finance kind of world, and, you know, they wake up, they work every day, and they make a good amount of money, and that's what they do. So it's kind of tough when you see them do that. They're making a lot of money, and you want to work just as hard, but it's not quite always there, at least not yet.
There's a lot of stories and histories to my years. So I may not look 27, I may not act 27, I probably act like I'm 21, but each one of those 27 years, I've learned something, I walked away from something, and I wear them proudly.
For you. How many hours would you like to park for? If you want to change your time collection, press 0.
I don't know. I don't know what people's concepts are of a 27-year-old or where they should be. I think that whatever road you take, as long as you get to where you want to be, is what matters. So
People do expect more from when you're 27, especially if you're younger. You expect people who are 27 to kind of, you know, be married and have their life together. So I'm not a fan of that question.
Well, in my very early 20s, the Vietnam War was going on, and I was very much in opposition to the war. I was going to college, but I was also very active politically, organizing against the war. And in my case, I faced the draft. That was my generation.
I always had this idea in my head that, like, when you're an adult, you have a car, you go to college. I used to watch A Different World a lot. That was like my favorite show. So I knew that's what college was going to be like. I went to a HBCU. I kind of had it all planned out. I don't know. It's just been my personality, I guess.
Aging is, of course, a particularly big deal in the United States because this is the culture of youth. Being young is the key. Being young means that you are part of the exciting, the new, what is promising. This is the land of promise. And so I think in the United States in particular, aging becomes problematic for many people because it seems to be that by aging we lose our promise. We fall out of grace from that magic age period.
Right now I'm living in Flagstaff, Arizona. I work in a Montessori school in the 3rd and 4th grade classrooms, and then I also work for an audiobook company outside of Bethesda where I write scripts.
Well, first of all, when I started out college, you know, I got sick. I had a brain tumor, and I'm fine now, thankfully. But you know, I had to take a couple of years off, and it's when I ran off and got pregnant and married, all that. But you know, I came back and finished school, and then, you know, immediately after finishing school, my husband and I decided not to be together, and he disappeared.
I never thought I would, but I feel kind of old. Like I almost feel like I'm almost 30, and I'm getting there. Like I'm getting closer to it. And I always thought, I don't know, like I'm noticing like people very, very young doing really, really great things, and it's sometimes a little tough to stomach. Like people in bands that I love are younger than me. Like and making so much impact and stuff like that. So it's kind of tough because I guess I thought by 27 I'd be maybe there, maybe doing a lot more. But music is, there's a little bit of luck in it. Hard work is by far the most important thing, but there's definitely a little bit of luck involved too. So try not to let it affect your daily kind of like working habits, and you try to do as much as you can. Even when you do think about that sometimes.
In each society, there tend to be certain markers for progress, and in the West and United States in particular, the markers are very clear in that by the age of 20, for example, you should have completed certain types of schooling. By the age of 25, you should have completed your university years if you've gone to college and started a career.
Right now, I have a play going up with the Manhattan Theater Company that I wrote. It's a short one-act play under 7 minutes, and it's more of a comedy, and it's interesting because I studied musical theater, and then I started working with coaches around the city, and all that musical theater and comedy just kind of got stripped from my personality, and I started training for TV and film and like method acting, and it's a whole other animal. And by putting a clamp to the funnier side of acting, it really developed a strong sense of comedic timing intuitively. So now the comedy has just been pouring out, and I've been getting work as more dramatic roles. So I'm writing more comedy, but I'm getting other work, and it's great. I'm very lucky. This year's panning out pretty well so far.
Yeah, I'm a writer, and I am working on a couple of nonfiction books, and also a fiction novel. I'm not as far into that one. I've been writing for a little over a year now, and though I'm not really generating any income from that yet, I hope to make that my primary source of income in the foreseeable future. I do a little geeky, like trading and cryptocurrency, which, I live off of now, but I hope to make writing more of the main source soon. Maybe you'll hear about me.
Eyes on me, just at your home. If so, I'ma get it for the night. So DJ play my shit, so I'm finna crank up now for the video.
I was 17, got my own place, enrolled in community college, and at that time I was very motivated, was going to classes, and I did my first 2 years, and then life got real. I can't continue to just work part-time and do schooling and all of that. I just couldn't. So school to this day has taken a back burner, but I will be that 27-year-old returning in the fall semester at University of Maryland. So I'm very happy for that. And I'm crawling, but I'm getting there.
I felt invincible when I first moved here. I had made my decision when I was 15 that I was going to come to the school that I went to, and that I was going to be an actor forever. I felt very invincible, and as, a 19-year-old in this city, I really felt that for a couple of years, even after I got out of school. I ended school at 20. It was a 2-year acting conservatory program. And then as I continue to live life, you meet people, that's when the realities start in, and that invincibility started to get questioned.
Around the mid-20s, you just start thinking about like, wow, life is not forever. Like, there's no do-overs. Like, what do I want to do? Why am I here?
And right after high school, I really took that time to find myself. I lived on my own, so though I did not have the college experience, I definitely had the independence, and threw myself into meeting new people, finding out what I love to do. I learned that I love cooking, created different cooking blogs and recipes, and I'm very into fitness and working out and hiking and doing all that stuff. And that's all what I learned with that experience with right after high school. It's like I had nobody to tell me, no, you can't try that, no, you can't do this. I was able to experience everything, see what I liked and see what I don't, and not do those again.
So right now, my main focus is to be better off than I was a year ago. A year ago, I wasn't working. Now, I'm a supervisor. So every year I try to raise the bar a little bit higher than it is.
So it's here.
Continue to the right to SDR Drive North.
When I was just getting out of college at around 22, what I thought I'd be doing at 27 was honestly like touring the world and being like rock star, like just playing in a couple bands, maybe one band, maybe a couple, and just playing every night and doing a lot. And then also on the side, writing, working with different artists, different musicians, and just in college I had a band that I played with, and I thought for sure that was like boom, there it is, but didn't work out. But I thought for sure I would be by now.
So acting has always been my number one passion, but because you don't always get as much work with acting as you'd like, my abilities started to stretch other places, and I started writing. I also was a dancer and a singer, so when I get a chance, I go to dance classes, and I will help choreograph if someone asks. But
immediately after finishing school, my husband and I decided, not to be together, and he disappeared. So I lost him, and I had to lean on my family for support. And then I unexpectedly lost my mother. So I went from being able to like bartend, at night and make some money and kind of figure out what I'm going to do with these 2 degrees I have that I graduated at the top of my class, summa cum laude and everything, and had all this stuff going for me, to suddenly, no babysitter, no support. Like, I was living with my best friend at the time, thank God, because she was my support system, until I started leaning on other family and learning how to. I'm still learning. It's a process.
Right out of school, as a day treatment counselor in a psychiatric day program. I'm still at the same company I started with out of college. But now I'm an administrator. I do all the admin, basically all the paperwork for the day treatment program. And we service mentally ill adults. I just had a baby. He is 6 months old, and his name is Harlem.
So I'm currently working at a doctor's office, pediatric nurse now. Not where I want to be. It's a pedestal to where I'm going. Like I said, I'm currently back in school.
Usually I work in a restaurant. I do pick up extra work in movies, or sometimes I get paid for a film or student film, Or I've done other jobs where I was a yoga teacher for a little while, and I helped run a holistic health center, jobs that didn't have the flexibility I needed. So the main thing was and is restaurants. I'm currently a bartender. I don't have a job right now, but I will be paying my bills this month, probably with unemployment.
I don't know if I have it in me to maintain this house, that, I inherited, right? Which you'd think would be just like, wow, I want to inherit a house. And I'm very grateful for it, don't get me wrong. And there are infinite options, I'm figuring it out, but that's a lot of responsibility, I've been renting for a reason, because you can call a landlord and say, hey, come fix this. And just everything it takes to maintain this house, work the 9 to 5, get my daughter to school, pick her up before the school closes or pay for aftercare, take her to the activities, maintain a social life for her, cook her dinner, get her in bed, all these things that are already so taxing that, a lot of single moms, have at least family, right? The only family I have is my dad, who's 83, and I take care of as well.
Well, I think in this generation, with the high tech and that kind of employment, it's a situation where young people can all of a sudden make a lot of money, which wasn't the case in my generation. So that exists, and so yes, they do have a lot of things provided to them. But I also think that it's more difficult in some ways because, all I wanted to do when I was 18 was get out of the house. And I went to school. But then even after school, you could get a place to live and it didn't cost you very much money. Nowadays, for a young person, if you don't have the really well-paying job, it can be a real struggle because housing in this country is can be very expensive.
By the late 20s, you should have really started on the road to becoming a member of a family that you've established yourself. So these markers are very important, and people who don't make the mark have not reached what they believe to be culturally expected achievements by a particular age. They feel dissatisfied. They feel as if they have not succeeded according to their culture.
By 27, married, 2 children, and just planning your entire life. That's your entire future. And then it goes completely the opposite way. It just tends to happen that way.
I do want marriage, I think, but I'm actually very scared of that situation.
I think I'm married now. We live together. We do everything together. Brian is a wonderful father. I feel like I'm married now. We share everything. Finances, troubles, mixtape releases, promoting his mixtape, out of sight, out of mind. But all of that, I feel like we're married now. We share our life now, so.
I have a girlfriend right now. I had a really good one that ended a couple months ago. It was for about 2 years and it was really, really, really awesome, but it didn't quite work out. So I think they're great, the long-term thing and the marriage thing is a little scary at this point. I don't think I'll be doing that for a little while. I think there's a lot of different paths that I could be led down as a musician. So
of course I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have a house.
I'd say ideally maybe 5 years. I have, obviously there's a biological clock that I don't really have control over. So I would say early to mid 30s is probably the ideal, if not a little bit late time to start having kids and all that. I'd say I'd probably like to be married by my early 30s, 31 or 32. And then I feel like I'd be able to maximize my time, what time I have left.
Being Dominican, there is a lot of pressure from your family. I get daily text messages from my mother asking me when I'll make her a grandmother. And there are days when I completely have baby fever, and there are days where I can't even take care of myself. So the pressure is definitely there to get married, to have children, and to become an adult.
I'm really lucky. I don't feel much pressure from anyone to have kids at this time. I'm lucky. I must have good people around me. My parents, I guess, have given up. And my mom never really pushed for kids, but she did push for me to not have the career I have, which might embody having a more stable life, which might embody having a relationship and kids, but she's never brought that up. But I do feel a lot of disappointment from them, just because of some of the things that have happened to me and our family. And, you know, there are a lot of red flags on their part, and I understand, and it's a very selfish thing I'm doing, but I can't do anything else.
I've been in a relationship now for a while. He's been my best friend for 8 years, and we've been officially dating for just under 3. We live together, our families get along, and he has a daughter. He has a 5-year-old little princess who I get along with very well, but it's definitely difficult dating somebody that has a child and all that comes with the responsibilities of taking care of this other child. It's an adventure, it's fun, has its ups and downs, but I wouldn't trade him for anything, and I wouldn't trade her being in our lives. She teaches me just as much as I teach her, so I'm very happy.
Any pressure from friends or family? Well, my friends, you know, they do joke every now and then about me not having any kids, because all of them already have kids. Really, right now, I'm getting the most pressure from my girlfriend.
In my early 20s, when it came to the qualities that I wanted in a man, you had to be attractive and have a job and treat me nice. That was about as far as they went. Now, of course, being 27, you look at life completely different. Yes, of course, you have to be physically attracted to these men, and you have to have trust. You have to be able to have goals, be a hard worker, a go-getter. I have to know that if for one day I can't work, I need something, that I can count on you. So the loyalty, the trust, being hard worker, those are just now necessities. It's like you can't even get me to go on a date if you don't have those. It's not just about having a nice car and what clubs can you get me into. It's about what can you bring to the table, because I know I have a lot to offer. So you have to meet my standards as well as I have to meet yours, and hopefully they have standards too.
But I know that I'm getting closer to wanting to settle down, and it feels a little bit more right now that I've lived on my own more. I feel like I'm kind of more my own person. I'm not as dependent. So while the men aren't too terribly different, I know that I'm in a different place where I feel better about settling down, and I'm mature enough to do so.
Do not have a boyfriend. I was, to be candid, was sleeping with someone for 9 months, and we never wanted a relationship, and finally 2015, I realized I did. So that ended, stopped, whatever. We stopped doing it. And I know that I want a relationship. I don't really know if I do want marriage, I think. But I'm actually very scared of that situation because I've never done a long-term relationship. So to marry someone immediately after never having a long-term relationship, I think is a bit premature on my part. I would like to have something with someone that I really care about, and that's where I'm at right now with that. I've been having the tick-tock of the baby clock, I guess. I'm not really into it right now. I definitely worry when I like my period is a day late or something. It's not in my cards right now. I want a career.
In some ways, I feel like I should be married. I have friends that are married and having kids, and in some ways, I feel like I'm ready to settle down or getting to that point. And other ways, I feel like I'd like to just kind of live the single life and get to travel more and kind of do my own thing.
Not the small pistachio. So the person that I might have been interested in dating 10 years ago compared to who I would date now, it's totally two different guys. At 17, I didn't know what I wanted. So you're looking at, oh, he has the latest Jordans, or he's so cute, or he's a basketball star. So you go for what everybody else wants. At 27, I'm not thinking about what you have on, what belt you're wearing, what shoes, what club, what car you're driving. I'm thinking of the person that has me as their best interest and, and wants the best for me as a person. I'm not, it's two different people. I'm not looking because I'm in a relationship, but I just,
Well, I have a daughter, a 4-year-old, and I was married for about 5 years. Our divorce is just finalized. So I currently feel actually the opposite. I feel pressure to not have a family and to get on my own feet from both my family and my friends. So yeah, even the prospect of meeting Mr. Right and getting married and all of that is, I think, something that's a little scary for both myself and my family and friends at this very point.
People's concept of a 27-year-old, to be honest with you, I'm not connected to society that much to have the answer. I really don't know what people expect you to be at 27 or what you should be.
Do I feel any pressure? Not from the outside, probably more pressure from myself. Mainly because I want that whole complete family.
Things I wish I would have done in my early 20s that I would appreciate now. Gosh, I guess maybe paid more attention to getting to know myself and defining myself, what I wanted, instead of trying to do all the steps, right? You know what I mean? And the things that the people say you should do or that we're taught that we're supposed to do. I wish I had taken more time to look inward, say, hey, Ida, what do you like? What do you want to do with your life? How do you want to spend your time? What would it look like? And now, what steps do I take to get there? And how am I feeling about me and about these things, and why am I doing what I'm doing? Those things that I think we think about now. I feel like pretty much everyone my age, at least that I know, and even older, you know, I feel like this is a continuing thing.
Early 20s to late 20s. I think now at 27, I'm realizing that my 20s really were for being random and just having fun, and I wish I would have took a little more time being young and fun, but I was pressed to be an adult, so I was like, graduate from college, move out of the house, pay your bills. I should have took a little more time to
something. When I was 22, I'd probably say in music you need to basically meet as many people as possible. Networking is really big, and just knowing as many people as possible. And I'm sure that's the way in every industry. I mean, I know it is. So I would tell myself that because I didn't quite have that mindset, you know. I would totally just say, hey man, like, go out and meet like good people and make genuine relationships, you know, and really show them that you're a hard worker and that you want to succeed and you want them to succeed and everything like that, you know. It's very important because that's all that matters.
It takes a long time to learn how to be financially responsible and how to be financially comfortable. I'm currently financially comfortable. I am able to pay my bills and take trips and go have fun with my girlfriends and vacations and all that. But it took me a long time to get here. I had my first apartment when I was 18. Which I've had to pay for school on my own. And then you go through that stage where you live beyond your means. And I'm 21, so I need a brand new car. Not a good decision. And, you know, I can't really afford this trip, but all my girlfriends are going. Let me max out my credit cards and still go. Again, horrible decision. Don't do that. But now it's like, okay, I did all the dumb stuff. Now I'm 27, I'm an adult, so let me get my life together. And financially, that means not taking those trips that you really want to go on, or holding off on those really nice shoes that are half what you spend on your rent. And, you know, cooking dinners every night, not ordering out every day. Learning to just prioritize and live within your means and get what you need and not what you want.
To be honest with you, I feel like everybody has a different route. At 27, no, I don't have a house. I do own a car, but you know, my credit isn't great, so I think the 20s are meant for you to, can I cuss? Is it to mess up, to fuck up, pretty much. So, and get yourself together. This is a learning stage. So at 27, I really haven't heard anybody say, oh, you're supposed to be married, or you're supposed to have a house, or you're supposed to be doing this. In my mind, my standards are that at 35, I need to have X, Y, and Z.
Individuals who feel that they have failed to meet the expectations of their cultures do feel very disappointed, and depending on their personal dispositions, some of them can become quite depressed and perhaps even clinically depressed because of their failure to meet the expectations of their particular cultures. And it's very difficult to fight against those expectations. When we feel that we are personally failures, this impacts us in terms of our own mental health.
Was 17. I definitely thought that I would have achieved some of my goals, such as I would have hoped to write and publish a novel by now. which I have started but have yet to finish. So I think in some ways I'd probably be disappointed in myself. But then again, I have achieved a lot of other goals and had a lot of more experiences that I never thought that I would have at that time either. I think
Regrets in life, I try not to have any of those. Everything I do because I want to do it when I do it, so I regret nothing that I've done or nothing that I continue to do. I don't believe in regrets. You learn from everything you do. Every mistake you make, every achievement you make, you learn something. So I live a life with no regrets.
Ma, you want your hoodie hung up or you want me to dry it? Huh?
Try it.
I didn't think about having an enormous savings and having a good credit score until now. I think people probably told me and I was like, yeah, but I also was like, there's time, when I'm 30. As long as I'm together by the time I'm 30, I'm going to enjoy being 20. And like I said, I did. I definitely did.
Something that I wish I would have done differently would have been after I graduated college, I should have stayed in the U.S. instead of going back to Jamaica. But, as a young kid, a 19-year-old, you're not really thinking, of stability right then and there. You just pretty much just want to do what you want to do at that time.
Going back to school was always like kind of in the back of my mind, but I didn't feel like it was the right time, so to speak. Now I feel like it's the right time and I'm ready and I know what I want to do. I had an idea before, but never having worked in the field of psychology and mental health, I didn't really know. But I've done so many different things and now I know that my calling, so to speak, is the administration side. So yeah, going back to school probably this year. But then again, it's like I have a baby, so we have to see how that works out.
When I was 22, I wish someone who was 27 would have told me that I was lazy and that I didn't know as much as I thought I did. I wish someone would have kicked my ass more. I was young and cute and I worked in a really nice high-profile restaurant and everyone told me, don't lose your innocence, you're gonna be great, and I got so much praise at this one place that I didn't really work as hard as I should have, and I regret that I lost some years.
From a young age, you've had to fend for yourself. You learn to appreciate everything that comes your way. You learn to overlook the little things that, in hindsight are not that big of a deal. You learn to really just know at the end of the day, if I don't work, I don't eat. If I can't pay this, I won't have a place to live. If I don't learn how to cook, I can't take care of myself.
When I was younger growing up, I always found myself in a crowd that was much older than me. So pretty much the way how I see it, I always learn from their experiences. When we all sitting down talking, their stories. I pretty much learn from their stories. People that's much older than me and been in situations that I'm in or been in. I always try to pick their brains, and find out, how to do this or what not to do or what to do and when to do it.
When I was younger, I thought I would probably be an astronaut by the time I was 27. No. In fact, even a year ago, if you told me that I'd be that 27 would be how it's been, I don't know if I would have really wanted to live through it. Granted, I'm alive and well, but yeah, there's been a lot of growth in the last year or two. No, it's been totally unexpected.
see, at 27, I really, I think that people should be out here having fun, enjoying life, going out there and taking a big bite out of life. So.
They say, like, by the time you're 27, that's pretty much who you are as a person.
I am happy with my life. I've learned to be excited about and look forward to the complete unknown of the future.
I didn't know if I would be successful. In my case, I was, and I'm very happy, and I was able to make a living, and now I'm making films, and I think that's great. But even if I hadn't been able to do that, and I hadn't been successful, at least I would have known that I tried, that I gave it my best shot. And I think you don't want to have regrets in later in life and saying, wow, I was 27, that was the time I really could have given it a shot, but I was too worried about these other things, this or that, or how much money I was going to make. I really wish I would have tried. So you don't want to do that. Follow your dream. If it doesn't work out, you can make other arrangements. But at least you won't say later in life, that's something I really wanted to do, and that was my chance to do it, and I didn't take it. So take your chance.
So something I'd like to leave with anyone who's watching this, or anyone who's having an identity crisis, or anyone who's thinking of pursuing their passion but's too scared to, I'd love to leave you with this. If you're young, or you have an identity based on whatever you have, identity is based on memories for the most part, for most of us. So you judge yourself by what you remember, what you've experienced, what you've learned. How do you know, if you haven't experienced a memory, what it's going to be like? So I suggest that you create new memories so you can see if that new identity that you dream of is actually what you want.
Yeah, I pretty much love being 27. But then again, I love all the ages that I turn every year. It's a blessing. I love my daughter. I love life. I have no regrets. So I have no complaints at my age right now. Life is good.
I said because that's what happens when you're young and you don't know what you're doing. Sometimes you try to run away from your mistakes like you can do when you're a kid.
Of course, the expectations of society are continually changing. But in each era, the expectations that impact us are very powerful for us personally. And it's extremely difficult for individuals to evade, to escape the expectations of their culture. So even though the expectations are generally changing, each of us is almost imprisoned by the expectations of our particular culture at a particular time.
Well, I'd take that. I'd take being 27 again and living that life all over.
Walking down the sidewalk, kicking my feet as I'm moving to the music. Step to the beat, I woke